All right. So, everyone out there listening today, we have Cassie and Cassandra, the mother daughter duo, here with us today. And I'm so excited to have you guys because I know you guys, we filmed a while ago and my mic broke and it was such a hot mess. But I think we're going to focus on, mother daughter relationships. And I can't wait to hear your story and just how you guys have built the bond that you have today. So, why don't you start off and tell everybody a little bit about you?
First, or you want me to?
Hi, my name is Cassandra. I'm a wife, a mom. I own a salon with my daughter. We just opened up less than a year ago. And I'm a bridal hairstylist.
A travel bridal hairstylist.
Traveling.
Luxury bridal
Luxury.
hairstylist.
So that's kind of it.
Yeah, so me and my mom,
I guess I'm not being too.
no, but we'll get into the flow. Me and my mom opened a salon. My father built it for us started 4 years ago. So he actually owns a car dealership. So the salon is directly next to his car dealership. And then my brother works for my father. So it's the four of us in a building. We actually just recently bought 35 acres. So we're starting a family compound, which we're super excited about. We actually literally closed in about 5 hours.
What? You're closing today?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So we have 14 acres now and there's a house on the property, but there's 19 acres in the back. So we're closing on that today at 4. So we're going to have a big fire up there today and everything too. So we're excited.
Oh, that's so exciting. So, how old are you, Cassie?
I am 28.
You're 28. Okay.
I'm a grandma.
You're a grandma?
I know, I'm literally a grandma. I'm 28. I'm getting gray hair.
Oh my God. I'm like, wait, what? How are you talking about?
I know. What are you talking about?
How would I be a grandma?
Right? I'm like, you don't have any younger siblings.
28, not old.
So you guys just bought, so you already are living on the property though, right? That you bought together?
No, so actually I moved back in with my parents.
So Cassandra was the first one so we all pretty much our whole family collabed on this project.
Yes.
So we all have our own houses. Cassandra was the first to sell hers. Then we closed on the first house with the 14 acres. Now we're redoing that because it's from the 70s. So we're remodeling that. And once we get that done, we'll move in there and then my husband and I will sell our house.
Okay. So while you're remodeling and doing all this and closing on their land, Cassandra, you're living with your mom.
Yes. So
Okay.
Cassandra moved in with us. Yes.
Okay. All right, cool. Now, does your brother live there too?
No.
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 Oh my God.
Is he going to live on the property that you just bought?
That is the goal. Yeah.
So everyone's gonna live there.
Yep. And he met a girl recently, a couple weeks ago, and he thinks that this is the one. So I think that we'll all be, we're all going to be on it. So
So the goal pretty much is for all of us. The existing home, somebody's going to live in there. It's either my husband and I, and then the kids. They'll build something
Okay.
for themselves and their family. But we're building this house with the idea that somebody will be living in there for.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, it sounds like there's plenty of space for everyone to build their own houses on the property, but you'll all be together. So, I mean, I guess that's why I'm so curious. You guys must really like each other a lot to want to live in the same place, want to be together all day and work together. So where did this all start? So Cassandra, how did you build this relationship with your daughter?
Well, it never was meant for I wasn't oh, she's going to become a hairdresser and do what I'm doing. But I think I don't know. I always hung out with was with her as her mom. I brought her everywhere. Even the first salon, one of the salons I worked at, I went for the interview and I had her with me because I didn't have anybody to watch her. So it was it was right home. Or she was 2 years old. I had her on my hip and I went in and interviewed and she had a cute little hat on. I'll never forget that.
Yeah, we were matching.
Yeah. So it just kind of always worked out that way, I guess. But I mean, honestly, you go through ups and downs because we didn't probably right around the age of 13, 14, 15, you break free of your parents and you don't want anything to do with them. So a teenager and we didn't like each other too much.
Yeah, no,
that's for sure.
I think too, right around the time that I grew up a little bit and stopped drinking and stopped going out, that I appreciated my family way more. You don't really appreciate them when you're younger.
Yeah. Well, you don't appreciate your parents telling you to stop drinking or
Yeah.
to get your life together, you don't want to hear it. You definitely don't. And
Yeah.
I mean, especially like her dad was on her all the time about, not drinking anymore. So I think from there, we were kind of still always close, but we definitely got closer after that. And then moving into the same building that my husband and my son work at, like that just brought all of us in a different, experience together and brought us all closer. I mean, trust me, we have our moments where
Yeah.
we're like not happy with each other, but I
Yeah.
think that's no matter what,
Right.
no matter what relationship you're in.
Yeah, totally. No, when you were raising Cassie, like, do you feel like you had the dynamic that, you were the parent, like, and the friend, or like, how did you go about that? Because I always hear like two different sides of the story with that type of
Yeah.
parenting.
Well, I think there was something, and I think I said this on our last time that we spoke, was like, I remember listening to this woman talk about like, you kind of go in and out of being a mom and a friend.
Mhm.
You're playing different roles depending on you're obviously always their parent and their mom. That
Yeah.
comes number one, but you are like still sharing experiences of your life with your child. And depending on their age, you're probably sharing different experiences. Like right now, we probably I share different things with her now that she's an adult as opposed to when she was 10 to 13 years old. Maybe
Right.
I'm telling 10 to 13 what my experience was being that age.
Yeah.
So my husband was very much like, you're not her friend, you're her mom. And that is 100% true. But I also do think there's an ebb and flow of that relationship.
Okay.
So I think that parents struggle with that.
Yeah,
But
I
do think
definitely
in
do
and out.
that. Well, I mean, I have a daughter, and I definitely feel like I ebb and flow with that. Sometimes I feel like I'm totally just her mom, and then other times I'm like, all right, I'm your friend. And my husband feels the same way. So I'm like, I'm really happy you're saying this, because I'm like, am I doing this right, or is this like confusing for her? I don't know if it's the right thing. I mean, you
Right.
never know you're doing the right thing, right? Until you're raised and grown and you're like, all right, she's a really good human type of thing, right? But when we're in the
Right.
midst of motherhood, it's like,
Oh, you never think you're
right.
I mean,
it's like, are
still,
these
like,
decisions right or are they wrong? Type of thing.
Well, and I'm sure too, it's like it makes you feel good when your daughter wants to hang out with you, and like you can feel that she like wants to be your friend, so you don't want to break that. So I'm sure too that's where people, I'm not a mom yet, but
Yeah.
where people get confused, because I could see like me
Well, the
and
last thing you want is if you love your child. So the last thing you want is for them to dislike you, but sometimes that you have to let them dislike
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And it means
Yeah.
you are doing the right thing, because you can't have them think, oh, my mom is so cool. And actually we were just
we were just
at a
talking about
wedding, doing a wedding, and we were talking about that, like how the parents that kids would go to their home and they would let them drink and do things. Like at that moment, you think, oh, as a teenager, that's great. Oh my God,
You're like, I wish my parents were like
I wish
that.
my
Yeah.
parents were like that. But now listening to these girls that Cassandra grew up with and talk about their experience going to this particular person's house and drinking, they realize, wow, that was messed up. Like,
Yeah.
I can't believe she let us do that. So you don't realize until you start to go through the different ages and growing up that your parent is doing the best interest for you, or
Right.
looking out for the best interest of
Yep.
you.
Right. I mean, I try to think of it too as like, I don't want her to think I'm like a pushover, right? Too, because I don't want her to become that people pleasing pushover too. Like, yeah, I want her to like me, but I'm also her mom and she likes me no matter what, right? Because like we're
Right.
blood.
Yep.
But it's at the same time, like, I think we can still be friends and still have boundaries where like I have to create this structure for her to become that good human, because if I just let her walk all over me and do whatever she wants, that's going to be a very like chaotic human being. I think you really
And
do
I
have
think
to.
And they
children
resent,
need-
and they
And I also
resent you
think
later
that
too.
children
right?
need to have boundaries, and they're
Yeah.
looking for you to show that to them,
Mhm.
even if they don't like it. I do really believe that they're craving it.
Yeah.
It isn't about it's a free for all.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
want to know that, okay, I feel safe because my mom is telling me this isn't the right thing to do, even though I want to go do it. I may feel mad right now, but they really truly are craving
Right.
that boundary.
Well, and also too, once your daughter gets older, once I got older, it's like, even though my mom's perfect, it's like you still have to I have to set boundaries with
Yeah.
you. It's like I can do that now because I'm 28, but like in order for the relationship to flow, there has to be boundaries on both sides. So it's
Yeah.
like regardless, like I think when you do get older, like the mom dynamic does change a little bit. I think it does
Yeah.
become more of like, you know, I have my back. I'm not going to make terrible decisions that are going to like ruin my future at this point. So when she makes me mad, I'm allowed to set that boundary more than when I was 13 or 16, you know?
Yeah.
that's-
Yeah. I think that's like a good way to put it. And like, I mean, I feel like it comes back to like bite me in the butt sometimes because like I'll set these boundaries and then my daughter will go and do it. And I'm like, oh my God, now I know how that feels, you know, type of thing. But it's good. I'm so glad she's doing that. And you see your work pay off, right? Cassandra, like eventually you do see your work
Yep.
pay off. But yeah, I don't know if you guys saw. So the episode that came out today, it's actually an interview with my daughter. You'll have to go and watch it.
Oh, that's cute.
But yeah, just getting like a child's point of view. And I literally had no idea what she was going to say. So I was so vulnerable. I'm like, oh my God, please. I hope I raised her right. And she's going to say it right. But yeah, it's really cute. You'll have to watch it.
Oh, I'm excited to watch that.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's. What do you think was the hardest part, Cassandra? Like getting that ebb and flow of being the parent and building this bond with your daughter. Like, what was the hardest part?
I guess like definitely like being a teen, you know, when she was in her teenage years. And I think like telling her no to certain things. For me, I feel like I had my husband who had no problem saying no. And I always thought about, well, I would have wanted to do that. So maybe I should let her go do that. And
Yeah.
he would tell me, hun, like you're trying to live, you can't live your life like through, you have to just, you can't live your life through like, and it, just because you would have felt good doing it, expect it's good
Mhm.
for them.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
so he was always, you know, I think
They
like,
said no, but I did all
definitely the
this stuff anyway.
teenage years, like,
Yeah, I feel
always
you,
think that-
Cassie.
Yeah. I did. You guys say no, but it's like you end
Yeah.
up to. It's like you
Yeah.
can be that way, but if your kid's gonna do what your kid's gonna do, they're gonna find out a way to do it.
Yeah, but it's
Unfortunately,
almost like you have to find out for yourself. I know like that was how I was. Like I had to go and experience it myself, even if my parent was telling me like you shouldn't do it. Like the guidance was like, no, you shouldn't be doing that, right, Cassandra? But like I feel
Yeah.
like a child usually has to find that out for themselves, but then you still have, you know what you're like, you learned the lesson, right? And then maybe it took you years to get to that lesson, but you look back at what your mom said and you're like, all right, she was right. Right?
yeah. Oh
Like,
my God, yeah.
Yeah.
And I even take that into like every part of my life because my dad always said that you just have to be repetitive, and like being a parent is just very repetitive.
Yes.
So
And
repetitive.
it's like that in almost everything of your life. Like
Yeah.
you're repetitive until something clicks, until it works. And
Right?
Yeah.
so that made sense to me always.
Yeah. That makes so much sense because I mean I feel like you're right. Like parents
You're just like over and over repeating the same thing,
oh my
or
God,
just
same
like
thing.
you're
Yeah.
working out every day, or you're just doing the right thing every day until something pays off, and it eventually
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
So your
Yeah.
hard work did pay off because I didn't turn out to be too bad.
You know, you turned out great. Jeremy.
Well, and there's always bumps in the road, right? I mean,
Oh, there
especially
are.
in parenting, like I
Yes.
feel like you get through one phase and then something else happens type of thing. But I do think you're so right. Like, I mean, I do feel like I repeat myself so often, and maybe it took 8 years to hear something she says to be like, oh my God, it worked. 8 years
Yeah.
later, she like just did what I've always been trying to tell her to do. You
And
know?
you never get credit for it either.
No.
They get credit for
And
it.
that's where they get the, that's where the word nag comes from.
Oh,
It's like,
yes.
let me just, my mom is nagging at me, but it is until, like you said, until it clicks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
and it can be years. I mean, it's almost like strength training, right? Like you don't see results right away. Like it takes years to get strong and
Yeah.
like actually like see muscle growth and whatnot. And it's like parenting, you might see not till 28 years later, right? Where you're like, oh my God, we're
Yeah.
best friends now. Like where it
Yeah.
might have taken that long to
And then
get there.
also, like, I'm sure it's even changes when they have, your children have children.
Yeah.
So see them and you see that they've learned the right things. And so I'm sure there's other things that, you know, develop also that
Yeah.
you notice.
Well, and you still have all that to look forward to, right? Like
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
both your kids are still going to get married and maybe have kids. I don't know, Cassie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think they
definitely.
want to. Yeah.
Yeah. So
My
that's-
mom's excited because she gets to be the fun grandma. She'll be
Yeah.
giving my kids all the sugar and stuff.
No, I won't.
Well, like
know.
that's when you get your second
Check it
chance.
out.
Yeah, you get to be the laid back friend and Cassie gets to be a
Yes.
mom.
Oh, my kid. Oh my
But
God.
but you also have to honor like what the parents want for the children.
Exactly. Yeah, it's hard to. I mean, I think there's stuff, but it's fun. I mean, my mom has so much fun for sure.
There was nothing better than staying the night at your grandma's house. Oh my God, I loved my grandma so much. She'd make you all the food that you want. And it was just like a comforting.
Yeah.
Wasn't it so
Yeah.
awesome to have a grandma? I loved
Yeah.
my
Yeah,
grandma.
they get to spoil you, and then you go home. Yeah.
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 I mean,
It's like
Cassie, like thinking about kids, like, would you raise your children the way that your mom has raised you?
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously my mother did a great job. I have such a hard time with this because I see so many kids that either come from great homes or bad homes, but like their present reflects opposite of how they grew up. So like I see kids that came from bad homes that are doing amazing, and I see kids that came from good homes that
Yeah.
are doing terrible. So it's like sometimes I always think I'm like, as much as you can raise your kid, you're also fighting like society and things that are obviously like crazy right now. So I think that's scary. But I think I personally would choose to raise my kids with like more faith, in Jesus, and it doesn't even have to be in church, but just like installing that in them to know that they have that forever. And me and my mom have been both getting closer to our faith recently too. So that's been an amazing opportunity for both of us.
Yeah.
But I think there's always things that you would change like that.
Absolutely.
I just think it's natural, no matter what.
But also
kind of parent you are,
I'm in the situation at my age because of my parents. My mom and my dad weren't at this part of their life because of their parents. So it's like you guys put me exactly where I need to be so that I can make those decisions. I'm dealing with baggage and things that like from my parents that you guys didn't mess me up.
Yeah.
So I have like just like a different foundation at this point in my life, which I can make those decisions, which I'm blessed for, because it's like I can even, decide.
And there's also like the, your foundation of like both my husband and I came from divorced families. My husband's family, alcoholism. Honestly, probably my family too had, there was alcohol involved, but like I think we were able to work through our marriage and keep that foundation. So now our kids are still around that.
Yeah.
And I do think that does say a lot. It doesn't mean it's easy and there weren't any mistakes made along the way. There certainly were, but we are able to still hold that together. And I think that in itself is important for kids as they're adults too. And then for young, when you have children, to see their grandparents still together.
Yeah.
Very unusual these days. It's not a normal thing.
No, you're right.
Most of the people that my kids grew up with, a lot of their parents are not together anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's very
And a lot of the
unusual.
kids that I grew up with, I mean, it's just the truth, get married and then they get divorced a year later. And I think it's just because this generation like throws things away so easily. And again, that's society pushed and culturally pushed now. Like instant gratification of if you don't like something, you discard of it.
Yeah.
And it's like everywhere. It doesn't matter. It's in your personal life. It's
Food, clothing,
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
you don't really, nothing's made to last anymore. I mean, literally.
Nothing's made to last. And no one wants to feel uncomfortable. It's like the first thing
Right.
that gets hard, you just get rid of it.
Yep.
Yeah, no, you're so
I
right.
do think that's going to change. I think
I do too.
I think it's going to shift a little bit.
Well, me and
It'll
my
be-
mom were just saying that too, how it just like relates to the bridal industry too. Like we see so much tradition coming back to even like weddings,
like
and
wearing the
brides.
veil over your,
Yeah.
I don't even know what that's called.
The
But
veil.
the veil that
Oh,
you wear.
when the father
The
takes it off,
blusher or whatever. Yes, the blusher.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the blusher.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
obviously that's like a small detail, but it's like so many more people want to be stay-at-home wives now. Like a lot of people want to learn how to like bake and they want to live off land. They want to grow their own food. Like we can just see it coming back so much. I think a lot of more women are like want to be more in their femininity. Is that how you say that? Femininity?
Yeah.
And I think it's beautiful. So I think that
Yeah.
that is coming back, and it will also leak onto a lot of different things in life.
Yeah.
Well, I had a client tell me that her daughter, who's, I don't even know how old she is, like 15, 16, she said she was shopping and she wanted to get like like she was picking out clothing that was like, who's that one that played in Tiffany's, the actress Audrey Hepburn. I don't know if she,
yeah.
but so she was picking like clothing style out like that, and I said to her, I feel like we're getting back to more, not so like everything has to be showing. And I'm sure it's going to split where not everybody's going to do that, but I do feel like you're seeing like little peaks of that.
Yeah.
So hopefully it
is.
our-
It's more.
goes
It's
into our
more
culture, goes
conservative
into
now.
marriage.
Yeah.
Goes in-
Well, and I think what you said, like the more people do it and the more you normalize like marriage, staying married, working hard. And I think people speaking out about their marriages and being like, listen, it might look like this, but it's not perfect. We put in a lot of hard work, just like you said. And marriage isn't easy. I mean, I'll be the first one to say I've been married 10 years. And I think just putting out there that like it's not all like, what do you call it? Like sunshine and roses. It's definitely like this is like the hardest friendship and partnership that you'll ever have. And you can't just not work at a friendship, right? You have to put in that work, and it's the most important one.
I can specifically remember like thinking that my family was supposed to be like that picture you see walking on the beach and everybody's holding hands. But that's like a glimpse and a shot that you get. And I felt like my what's the word I'm looking for? Like my reality of it was just not really what it is.
Yeah.
That's the moment you get those glimpses, but there is like uncomfortable moments and times that you don't feel like you can make it through something, or why are we fighting, or why is this happening? And it's like, well, it's normal. Like that's like a normal thing.
And they do sell us on this like picture perfect story.
Yeah.
It's like when you watch a movie and like, you go off into happy ever after, but you don't see the after. It's not just like, oh, you get married and everything's perfect, or you get in a relationship, or you start something. It's like deciding to go to the gym and you think like all of a sudden you're going to get jacked, and really like every day you want to die and you're like, what am I even doing with my life? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think we do get sold on certain glimpses of things like that, like success. Like when you see somebody that's successful, it's like you're being sold on that like one moment you see somebody, but you didn't get everything that's so terrible.
Well, people want the end result, but they don't want
Well,
work.
right. I mean, but that is our society, right? Quick fixes. And I think that goes as far as parenting and all relationships too, right? Like we want it to just always be okay, but that's not life. Like there's always stressors, right? There's always challenges that come in every single day, and we have to be willing to work through those.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that's our whole entire country is just, well, maybe world, quick fixes, right? That's all. No one wants to go to the gym every day to get, the body that they want. No one wants to eat the right food. They want a drug or a pill or, something quick, easy fix to get to where they want. And it's just not realistic, and it's definitely not sustainable, right? I mean, even if you do have that quick fix for a little bit, it doesn't last.
But the problem
But
is
also
that
that-
they're selling us on that it is the quick fix.
I
So
haven't
that's
seen a quick fix pill for like make your marriage right.
I know, right?
it's drugs. It's drugs.
Well, I
and
think
alcohol.
I think the quick fix would be keep getting divorced, right? Like, let me just get
But you know
divorced and
what?
meet someone else.
But I feel like divorce takes so long.
You're right.
So like,
Well,
what that-
maybe,
like,
but then
Because
you'll.
you're looking for the
I've
beginning
heard of
stage.
people say like, okay, well, I got divorced and thought I just wasn't with the right person, but then they got into a new relationship and then that got difficult too. And it's like, because this is actual reality. There's
But
no
also,
perfect
too-
relationship.
Yes, and also too, I think that, and this can leak onto our other conversation, but it's a pattern that people are not willing to break.
Yeah.
Because you think that it's always the thing, but it's really just you.
Mhm.
Like if you keep going everywhere and you're addicted to like, say drinking, and you go everywhere and you think if you take yourself out of a certain situation that it's going to be different. But it's like when people have problems and they think that if they fly to Italy, it's going to change. Like
Right.
your problems are just going to follow you wherever you are.
Exactly.
I-
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a hard one to figure out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, also like the hard parts in your relationship, which are what makes it like richer. That's
Exactly. That's how you grow. Yeah.
richer and better couple. That's
Yeah.
going just like individually.
Yeah.
And it makes you a better version of yourself yesterday or
Exactly.
a year.
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. No matter how hard it is, it definitely makes you stronger. And I mean, I'm a firm believer that like you set the example, right? And it sounds like, Cassandra, that you really set the example for Cassie, right? Like you wanted to, build a great relationship with your husband and stay together, and you worked hard on that, and now she saw that, and now she'll go forth and do the same.
Yeah, and I think too, like I can remember thinking like when my husband and I went through some tough times, like I have to make it through this because it's not going to last forever, but it also, there will be a light at the end of this. There is at the end of it. Just work your way through it.
Yeah.
And for me, what kept me going was when I have grandkids, it's going to make me want to cry. When I have grandkids, I don't want to share my grandkids with somebody else. I want to share them with my husband.
Yeah.
I want to do it together, and hopefully, that God will allow that to happen, have children. So that was what kept me really wanting to make it work.
Yeah. I think that's a really nice image to think of, because it's sometimes it's so hard to see. Yeah. It's so hard to see over that mountain, right? That you're trying to get over at that moment. It's so hard to see past that hardship, but it's there, right? Because it's like you said, it's always an ebb and flow no matter what it is. There's always going to be challenges and stuff, but I love that. That's really beautiful. Because who said it? Was it Stephen Covey that's you need to think with the end in mind? So you're literally thinking not the end, but you're thinking so far into the future where this is what I want, this is my goal.
But the crazy thing is that the emotions don't attach. So it's your emotion of the future isn't there yet. You're dealing with all the pain and you're dealing with getting over something and the sadness. So it's it is so hard to actually place yourself in the future. So I can understand why people give up.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's not easy, because you got to find that hope, right? Even if it's a little bit of hope through that whatever you're going through, there's got to be another side. There's sunshine on the other side, like you said, light at the end of the tunnel. Hope's everything, right? If we don't have hope, we have nothing, right? So you got to find that hope, and it sounds like you found it in that vision. Yeah. That's so cool.
Well, and especially too, it's I don't even know why you would want to live without hope, because it's you might as well just die, because then you just have hope for nothing. It's that would be such a depressing life to have no faith.
Definitely.
Yeah, can you even live without hope? You would be.
That's what I'm saying. So what are you hoping for? What is your future then? Because you'd always want to at least strive, even if you're homeless on the street and you don't have food, you're hoping that you're one day going to be able to eat. So I don't know how anybody lives without hope or faith.
Well, maybe you just find the littlest hope you can find. But I think going back to what you said about we're all in these patterns, right? It's I think sometimes people don't even realize they're in this just cycle of a pattern, and they're just going through the motions, and maybe there's hope in there somewhere, but it might be real, real small, but they can't pull themselves out of that pattern.
Right. Well, and sometimes it's the smallest bit of hope. It's let me just get through this little step.
Yeah.
And then I'll just be okay with that. And then you move to the next one.
Yep.
Yeah.
She froze.
Oh, did I freeze?
Yeah, but you're back.
Am I back? Okay. So where do you guys see yourselves, 5 years from now? What's going on in this family compound of yours?
Well,
sourdough.
Well, I see us, I kind of have a good vision of what I think I see. So I can see us with our boots on and tending to our garden, and still coming to work, to the salon, and in bringing things to the salon from, whether we're making fresh cucumber water or strawberries or whatever. And then we have a cute little farm stand that, maybe on Saturdays we have a few hours that we're open there. Okay. With our homemade ice cream and, limited supply of things, because everything is from scratch.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so fun. And you guys will all have houses on the property by 5 years, right?
Well, yeah, we're going to, yes, eventually. I don't know how many years that'll be, but
I'm not living in the basement forever.
So hopefully we get settled where the new house is, and then we start to venture out and enjoy the land that we just have too, and be able to take hikes on it and, sprint up the hills there.
Yeah, my mom says every morning she wants to start sprinting at 5 a.m. up the hills. I'm like, oh my God.
Not every morning.
Is this before strength training or after?
Yes, this is before.
Maybe during our non-strength training days.
Yeah. Yes. I love that motivation. That's awesome. And that sounds fun. I don't particularly love hill running, but it's necessary sometimes.
It is necessary.
Yeah, we'll definitely get you into shape. That's for sure.
And then further in the future, my, Corey's wife, and then having children, Cassandra and her husband, and having children, and the kids running, they're going to their grandparents' house and they're running over, helping, with all of the stuff that's like further in the
Yep.
future, but
Yeah, I can see it now, clear as
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Now, how do you guys continue to grow your relationship together? Is it, working out together, or like what do you like to do together?
we're
to
forced.
Now you're
We
forced,
have no option. We're in business together.
right?
But we're in business together. Cassandra travels.
No,
for
we're in
weddings.
business together. We live together. We work out in the morning together. We work together. We're literally with each other. We cook together. It's too much. But I'll tell you this though, we are on our way to a wedding, and I was speeding and I was going a little too quick, and I admit it. And my mom was being like a mom, like I was 16 and I just got my license and I got a ticket. And she was harping on me and it was too much. And I was like, you know what? We both have our emotions together. Don't you think I was pretty good?
Yeah, you're right.
I said, I gave up swearing. The Holy Spirit made me stop swearing. So I've been like 4 months no swearing. And I looked at her and I said, I'm going to swear at you right now. And I said, I'm going to drop you off at this wedding and you're going to do it by yourself. And we were like 3 hours
sat
away
in
from
silence for like 40 minutes, and then finally, in my mind, I was like, "Oh my God, I'm not doing this wedding by myself." And how are we going to get out of this not speaking? So there's an uncomfortable moment.
Yes.
Literally, it was
Yeah.
that point where I was mad at her, she was mad at me. But I was like, how are we going to get through this being uncomfortable? Are we never going to speak again? Are we going to not talk to you? Or my daughter and I are not going to have a relationship anymore?
Yeah.
So that was an uncomfortable moment. And then somehow we broke the silence. And I said to her, I did harp on you quite a bit. I said, but you were going 86 miles.
I think that the true, you shouldn't say how fast I go. I think the true thing is though, is like, no matter what, and my mom taught me this, like no matter what situation you're in, you can always take accountability for something. Like there's just always something you can take accountability for. I'm not saying that like in life, you always are going to be the, like the reason for somebody doing something bad, but usually you are. And especially when you're close with somebody, it's like that person sees that version, like the true version of who you are at all times.
Right.
So
Mhm.
you can take accountability. So I would say that. Take
Yeah.
accountability.
Yeah. I think
And
that's
duke
huge.
it out. Duke it out.
It's
Like,
hard.
My mom had me in a headlock the other day and I bit her and she was like, that was a good one. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I feel like just apologizing too is such a big thing that, I think parents think they can't do, but I think it's so important because again,
Yeah.
you're teaching your child how to apologize and take
And it is hard. Like
Take
honestly,
responsibility.
It's hard sometimes as a parent too,
Yeah.
because you feel like
Yeah, you're supposed to be right.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah,
You're just
but we make
I'm the
mistakes,
spirit.
right? We're not perfect. Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
Lots of
And I
mistakes.
think you're right. Talk it out, right? Even though it's uncomfortable, and talk it out. Well, that's
Mhm.
awesome, guys.
And also, one thing about family is you kind of are stuck with each other, so you will forgive each other, and you should feel like you can, your siblings, your parents, everybody's going to forgive each other. It's not going to stay that way forever.
Your family's the only one that you can call another family member and like talk a bunch of crap and then like really no one cares. Like it wasn't like, oh my God, Cassandra's on the phone with me and she talks crap about you. It's kind of like I can say whatever I want to dad about you or you to dad and nobody says anything.
Yeah.
So it's good. It's peaceful.
I love you guys. You guys are my inspiration. And I really appreciate you coming on and telling your story a little bit. And I'm sure I'll have you back on at some point because maybe when Cassie gets a boyfriend or someone has a baby or something, we have to talk about this. Yeah.
Yeah.
As
That'd be
things grow and progress. Yeah. I love it. Well, thank you so much. Is there anything else that you want our listeners to know today or anything you can think of?
We love Jesus. That's all everyone.
Don't give up on life.
Yeah. Don't give up on life.
Find that hope, right? Find that hope
Yes.
in whatever you're going through. Yeah, I know that's
Mhm.
so huge. Well, thank you, ladies, and I will talk to you soon. You guys have a wonderful day.
Thanks,
Okay,
girl.
thank you.
Have a good day.
No biting today, Cassie.
No, we will not. We will not.
All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.